I'm wrestling, do not weep for me. Celebrate what I am. Celebrate what I have been. Celebrate what I represent. And celebrate the many ways I have impacted your life. I will survive this test as I have survived others. I am forever etched into the very fiber of all mankind. The world needs me. Time is on my side. History guarantees me. I am wrestling. Do not wait for me.
What is up, everybody? This is Ben Askren, and you're listening to the T-Row and Funky Show, Episode 2, brought to you by Defense Soap. Defend what you build. What is up, Tommy? I know you're sad tonight. The little TSU Buckeyes lost, and they lost the national championship hopes last night. What's up, man?
I am struggling, Ben. Obviously, losing a game like that yesterday and the way that we lost it, it was a tough one to swallow. But as Tom or Terry Brands would say, you deserve what you earn, and we earned that loss last night fair and square. But man, I think that's what happens when you play not to lose instead of play to win. And the Buckeyes deserved to lose the game yesterday. It was brutal. It was honestly it was a tough thing to be a part of. I was down on campus, hanging out with my friends, doing a bunch of tailgating, and it was a tough pill to swallow.
What do you think about this Ezekiel Elliott coming out in the news today saying it was the coach's fault, blaming all the coaches? He don't give a crap. He's going to the pros. And then Urban Meyer very maturely responded that, hey, it was my fault. I accept full blame. But, man, I think that's a bad look for Ezekiel Elliott, looking like a clown.
Disappointing. I would agree. And in his defense, it's the first time he's sounded less than professional in the time he's been at Ohio State. But, you don't defy your coaches publicly ever. Or very rarely do you even call them out in a closed, meeting session. But either way, to talk badly about your teammates or your coaches as an athlete in the media, it's bad. It says a lot about how you view yourself within the organization or within the team. I think that might have cost him, a couple $1,000,000. So maybe he'll make, $38 million signing bonus instead of 44. Yeah. But at the same time, that can't bode well. He's going to have to discuss that in his draft, screening process.
Now, man, we're kind of talking about pro sports here, but when that attitude that it's not my fault, that's obviously it's a cancerous attitude to have on a team. Just a lack of responsibility taking. One athlete that I don't follow basketball, but everyone says this Dwight Howard guy, he's like the best thing since sliced bread. But everywhere he goes, their teams aren't that good, and I gotta say, like, from an outsider looking in, I think that's a leadership fault right there. A guy on the team that's not leading the team right, And then on the flip side of the coin, you'll get someone like Tom Brady who brings the team up. No matter who you put on a team with him, he brings it up, and that's the mark of a great leader right there.
No doubt, couldn't agree more. I think, and I do agree. I don't follow basketball very closely, but Dwight Howard is bouncing from one team to the next, and he's always got something interesting to say about the dynamics of the team that he plays for. And, the best guys, to your point, Tom Brady or even LeBron James, you don't hear them really poo-poo or discuss anything. They keep family matters in the family. And I think that's a sign of leadership.
Definitely. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So the first thing we got on the docket today is Flow FRL, so I don't know if that's our cousin show or sister show or brother show, something like that. Willie and CP they were on earlier this week going hard at the NWCA over some bracketing software issues and
going real hard. I haven't been able to read up on it as much as I should to comment on it, but man, you could sense the aggression on Twitter and the headlines and things like that. I know that you know a little bit more about the situation than I do, but it sounds like there's just a overall, Flow Wrestling believes at least, that there's an overall lack of information sharing to provide data and results to the national wrestling community. They feel like NWCA is perhaps proprietary over some information that they have, or they only lend it to certain other companies. Yeah. I don't know much. Other than that, I don't know much. All I know is what Flow Wrestling believes. I don't know the other side of the story, and I don't know much about what's going on, but that's kind of the way I understand it.
Well, and I don't want to even get into the NWCA. I don't have great feelings about them. I think there is a general lack of leadership there. But man, at the end of that little tirade they went on, they let UWW off the hook easy, Tommy. They said, UWW is doing a good job.
You're talking about CP and Willie let UWW off the hook?
Yeah. They said, do we? I think they said, do anyone else go after? And they're like, no, UWW is stepping up And me, I was listening like, that is a load of crap. Like, if there wasn't one organization or leadership body in wrestling that I had to pick on, UWW is it. They're failing.
AKA, formerly known as FILA.
Which is the same thing. It's the same thing. You can call it different names. It's the same damn thing. And, man, these people, I don't even, man, they're kind of criminals. I mean, Flo has shown these videos with Colette and with Kerry McCoy that are just disgusting examples of what UWW has done over the past 50 years, but just in every sense of the word, I feel like the UWW is failing the sport of wrestling. And are they doing a little better than Philo was? They're the same thing, right? Are they doing a little better than they were a few years ago? A little bit, but...
Well, to be fair, Ben, we lost. We were. There was a time where we weren't an Olympic sport anymore.
It was their fault. It was their fault. They fixed their own mess up and they act like they're doing a great thing. They shouldn't have blew it in the first place.
Okay.
There was a reason we were in that space, and it was because UWW blew it. I mean, think about this, Tommy. In 2014, that World Championships, the biggest event that UWW promotes, was not even streamed on the internet. Was not even live streamed. That's crazy.
Why do you think that's the case?
I think it's a lack of leadership and lack of foresight. And with a lot of these Olympic sports, people get in these comfy positions, and no one's pushing them to innovate and get better. And they know they have the kind of like I was talking about the pro wrestling thing earlier. Well, the UWW has a lock on it because they're the gateway for wrestlers to go to the Olympics, right? If you don't qualify through the UWW, you don't go to the Olympics because they're the governing body.
It's kind of like the NCAA. If you want to play collegiate sports at a high level, there's only one venue to work it through.
You know what? It's very similar to how football, you have to play 3 years, or you have to wait 3 years post-collegiately to go to the NFL. So, these kids coming out of high school, or Maurice Claret was the best example. I watched his 30 for 30, but he was in a situation where he couldn't play for the NCAA and he couldn't go to the NFL. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, people don't have... UWW is in this position where they're up on top of this pedestal and no one can knock them off, because it's not like I can just go say, and listen, I have tried to get the guys at Flow to start their own world championships. I tried. I really did. I pitched them hard on it. But it's not like they can go say, hey, IOC, how about you let us qualify people to the Olympics in 2020? Like, it just doesn't happen like that,
No, it's a very deep rooted political global landscape that it's hard to uproot, I would imagine. I mean, you and I was on the international wrestling scene for the better part of 8 years. I graduated in 2004. I started wrestling in the first year of the clinch era.
Oh, my goodness.
And I retired in the last year of the clinch era.
Oh,
so, those rules were brutal. The fact that I was trying to go to the Olympics and I'm pulling a ball out of a bag, and Steve Austin's pulling a ball out of a bag to see who goes to Beijing was wrong.
Right.
And I wish that I didn't. I wish I had enough skills and I had wide enough gap between me and my opponent where I didn't have to go to that. But we're talking about trying to be the best on the planet. I mean, the margin for error. Mm-hmm. You're going to go to the ball grab every now and again. And when I look back on that whole process, I lost fair and square in the sense that my opponents had the same sets of rules that I did, and technically champions find a way. But man, what a brutal set of circumstances to wrestle under.
100%. And I mean, I don't want to go in depth into the stupidity of that rule set that that you and I spent the majority of our senior level career under. And people are like, oh, the rules are great now. Well, guys, look at the last 20 years and see how many times the rules changed, and look how many times stupid rules determine the winners. I mean, just in an insane amount of times for the better part of a decade back then. And that's obviously one of my beefs with UWW is how often they change the rules, how frequently they change rules. and really they changed the rules to a point where it's almost a different sport. Frankly,
you know what I like
going
about
on
the
right now,
rules
Tommy,
now, though, man?
and what
All
we
right.
did, what we were doing, right,
Uh-huh.
in 06, 07, 08, in that period, it's a different sport. It's flat out, it's a different sport. I mean,
It is, and what I like about it now, and we can talk about the specifics of why and maybe how it could be better now. But what I like about it now is that you can't block off and not score as a strategy any more than you could in folk style. There is no possible way to go through that 6-minute match and have not scoring as your strategy. And from 2004 through 2012, that absolutely was the strategy for numerous guys. Maybe not the whole match, but you know what? I'll block off till the first period ends. I'll wait for that ball grab. If the ball grab comes up my way and then I get the leg and I obviously win the clinch, then I'm going to implement the same strategy. But if I don't get the ball grab and he beats me on the leg clinch, then I'll start wrestling. And so it was a part of the strategy. It was a part of, you could absolutely see that it was a form or a way that people found to get what they wanted at the highest level in our sport. And that was just brutal to be a part of.
brutal. And I mean, we get, like I said, I could do an hour podcast telling me about how atrocious the rules were for a good period there. I mean, but if you want to go past the rules and past the fact that they didn't stream the damn 2014 Worlds live, I think that UWW
Where were the 14 worlds?
Baku, I believe. But I think
They got Wi-Fi there.
It was something like that. I remember Flo was having a tough time getting anything online. Mark Bader was there, and I was kind of trying to stay in touch with him. But man, failure to build and promote events, right?
Uzbekistan.
That's where it was.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Tashkent.
Uh-huh.
I've been there. It's much more modernized than the words Tashkent, Uzbekistan sound. I'm sure they had some Wi-Fi there or something.
I was saying that they got a failure to promote events. I mean, really, how many big events does UWW have every year, right? And that's when we talk about sports content. That's what we were talking about last week, is how valuable it is. But you got to build content. You got to build meaning behind events. And really, the only two events that UWW promotes largely is the World Cup and the World Championships. And that's all you hear about every year. But you could, I mean, if you're the UWW and you're up a pedestal and you got all these athletes wanting to qualify and do this stuff, you could build several really high level cool events that you can market and you can sell and build money and build the sport. And that in my estimation, that's what UWW's job is to do. Should be.
So I guess I'm not following you. What events do you think we should be marketing globally that would help the sport? I mean, I guess I'm trying to take the side of the UWW here, Ben. I think you got 42 different languages. You've got 42 different, and the number 42 is arbitrary, but you get my drift.
I get it.
You got like 12 different time zones. So how do you do it, man?
Well, I actually made a video. It's on YouTube somewhere. It didn't get a huge amount of traction, but the top 5 things I would do if I was the UWW president today. And part of it is you got to build these events, okay? And you got to make them have meaning. So one thing I suggested to do was that you could make a qualification type system, say 4 major tournaments. Pick one in the Americas, one in Europe, one in Asia, one in Africa. Put it somewhere across the world, and then you do other people from seconds, right? So second or third place guy from America or whatever could qualify if they win these tournaments, right? So they qualify for the World Championships. And then you also you use them for seeding for the World Championships. You make them not mandatory, but close to mandatory for seeding.
Don't get me started on the fact that we don't have seeds.
Oh my God, the unbalanced, unseeded brackets are about the most. They're almost as bad as the rules were from 2004 to 2012. They're almost that bad.
I can't prove it, and I've heard people who are in the know say that this is not the intent. But I firmly believe the intent is a net positive in the UWW eyes if they don't have seeds, Ben, because if they don't have seeds, then there is a way for a lesser performing country to get a medal.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
It has nothing to do with being the best on the planet.
It's a competition. The point of a competition is to get the best guy, the second best guy, the third best guy, put him on a freaking podium, get him a medal, play the anthem, call it a day. That's the point of a competition. And some of these, I mean, like 55 kilos, like holy crap. I think everybody good was on the bottom side, right?
It's bad.
I think Burrow's bracket.
Just bad.
It was. I mean, some of these brackets were, and the fact
Burrow's had a terrible draw. Now the good thing
is
he's the worst draw.
Yeah.
But he had a terrible draw.
Yeah, and the fact that you could have 16 guys on top and 32 guys on bottom, and the number 1, 2, 4, 6, and 7 could be on the bottom, like. It's insane. It's insanity. It's really crazy, Tommy. It's like football.
You hear our current athletes, because I tweeted about it a little bit during the Worlds in September, and I think you and I actually exchanged some positive dialogue with each other. But anyways, you hear a lot of our current athletes, or a lot of people say we should stop complaining about this. You have to make the most of your situation, and you have to get focused and win anyway. It's like, well, yeah, of course you do. I mean, I would never argue as a competitor that you should let things like that sidetrack you, but I'm a fan, and I'm a fan of the sport. I'm not competing. I don't have a horse in the race anymore, including myself, and I just want what's best for the sport. And the fact that you can't get these guys in a room, the day before the Worlds or a week before the Worlds, and just seed people who've ever had a medal.
But Tommy, think about it. If you create these events that have meaning for seeding, you're creating events that have meaning. People want to watch events that have meaning, right? Why do you want to watch the Big Tens? Because the Big Tens provide qualification for the NCAA tournament, and that's a big freaking deal, right?
Right.
So if you create events that have meaning, you create events that mean something, and people are going to watch them. And so if we have four big tournaments, right? And you say, okay, attend these. Seeding will be based on these 4 tournaments, and maybe Jordan Burroughs he goes to 2, he smashes everyone. Everyone knows he's the best, right? But
I also think this, Ben. I think it should be your country. So if an American wins one of these qualifying tournaments and he can be seated in the top 6 because of that at the Worlds, but he doesn't make the team, that American that's on the team still gets the benefit of what that particular American did at the qualifying tournament. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but under my scenario, if I was the freaking president, which UWW might nominate me soon, I'm going to be like Trump. Make wrestling great again. Make wrestling great again. Under my scenario, the number 2 or number 3 from a country could qualify, right? So say Burroughs is the man, he's the number 1 guy. Well, if Dake goes and does well, he can throw him in there too, right? Throw him in the bracket. If Sargouche goes and does well, throw him in the bracket too. How cool would it be to have, some of these guys who are legitimately the best in the world, but they're stuck behind another guy who's the best in the world? And with wrestling, sometimes it's just matchups. I mean, literally, there's just a tough matchup that some guy can't get past. And who knows, maybe he's the number 2 in Russia, and he goes and wins the world championships.
No matter what, it's better than what we have not now, which is completely random, blind draw. Follow the leader. Your guy's got to make the. He's got to. It's not seeded.
Listen, these people are flying from all over the world. How freaking tough is it to do some stupid ass wrestlebacks?
Oh god.
I mean, just do a wrestleback. Just make it double elimination. I mean, how many matches is that? The brackets are only 40 big, and there's only 7 of them.
Yep. And then the fact that we don't have overtime, I don't understand that either. Every now and again you're going to get 2 sloppy 270-pound heavyweights out there for 22 minutes, but it's not going to impact the event in a way that takes away from the flow of what's going on.
That's one of those.
And the true winner will be rewarded. And I remember distinctively, Ben, in the 2004 Olympic trials.
Wait, I know what you're going to say. You don't even have to finish. Dennis Hall versus Brandon Paulson.
Yes, but I was
freaking
in that.
Amazing.
The crowd was on its feet by the end. It was incredible. Awesome. It was incredible. Now, is every 20-minute overtime match going to be like that? Probably not. Sometimes it's 2 guys just avoiding each other. But that was an incredible match.
Incredible. And you only get them once every few years, anyways. I mean, like this is one of those things where the rules were so bad. They were so bad, and they're so much better now that people can deal with no overtime. They're like, okay, we can have no overtime. Just don't give us what we had 5 years ago.
Would you rather not have an overtime or pull a ball out of a bag to see who wins the match?
I mean, literally,
what would you rather have?
I think the ball grab or the coin flip, I think that was I want to say it was 93% is what they it was something crazy like that, 93, 94%.
I mean, you're a funky guy, Ben. If anybody's good at wrestling somebody when their opponent has their leg in the air, it would be you.
But they didn't
and
even
I think I could even take you down if you let me start with your leg. I think I could pull it off.
But they didn't even let you defend. They made you stand up totally straight. Totally straight. The guy got his body into you, so it was like, well, as soon as they said go, you're off the ground, and then they're just going to carry you out of bounds and drop you, and then the match is over. It's like
we're crying over spilt milk with the old rules. We got the new rules. You don't like the system. You think that what do you think? Do you think they're resting on their laurels? You not think they're thinking progressive enough? The seating thing, Ben.
That's common sense.
It's common sense.
It's just common. Listen, so there's a video out there on YouTube. If Ben Askren were the UWW president, what would he do today? But the bottom line is the UWW, with the position they're in, until I can start Ben Askren Professional Wrestling Incorporated, which at some point hopefully I will do, and make my own world championships. Because if you pay guys enough money, they're going to show up.
Ben, you know what we should do as an extension of our podcast? We got to get a Twitter handle, Make Wrestling Great Again. And,
I'm going to get a hat, too.
I like
get
the
a hat
slogan,
that says Make Wrestling
Ben
Great
Askren
Again?
for UWW President, Make Wrestling Great Again.
Askren 2020. You make wrestling great again. There we go. We got make it trending on Twitter.
Okay.
Let's see. So if I was the president of UWW, it is on YouTube. But I mean, you got to build and promote the sport. You're on this pedestal. You have athletes who can only qualify through the Olympics through you. So you're the most important entity right away. Immediately, you're the most important entity. You got to build events and things that spectators want to watch. That you're going to get millions of people tuning into the internet for, or eventually you get on TV, that, whatever. But you got to build things that people are excited about, that people show up, that people are going to pay good money, and that's how you build the sport.
So I mean, I hear what you're saying, Ben, but then I just think very reasonably that it wasn't a few years ago we had the Committee to Preserve Olympic Wrestling, of which I was partially involved in, but not in an intimate way. And our sport is on the chopping blocks, right? We're on life support. They're getting ready to throw the final dagger. And we somehow manage through a united front globally. We keep the sport in the Olympics. And ever since that time, we've been going step by step. Our sport has been getting better and better. And what you're saying is it's not enough. It's not good enough. We're not going fast enough.
It's like if I came over to your house for a party, right?
Okay.
And then I took a candle and I started your house on fire. And then I went out back and I got your hose. And after your house is halfway burned down, I put the hose out. I patched up some of the drywall and say, Tommy, I put out the fire and I patched up your walls a little bit. Doesn't it look awesome? You'd be like, no, you dummy. You started my house on fire. It's halfway burned down. There's black smoke all over the ceiling. It doesn't look good. It looks like crap.
So we're not. So, but we are going. But we haven't stopped. We haven't stopped with the drywall. I don't think UWW has said that they're done trying to fix the sport.
They got some union laborers that are smoking cigarettes half the day working on your house. I mean, if that analogy, like if I'm going to start your house on fire, I better freaking tear the thing down and build you a new house. I mean, or unless I'm a butthole, then I'm just going to let your house burn it and act like I'm doing something to fix it.
Right.
So. Yeah, that's my. If I had one organization I could pick on, UWW, step it up big time. They got ways to go. They're better than they were a few years ago, but they got a ways to go.
The seating thing frustrates me. I feel like it's indefensible, Ben.
Just common sense, just plain common sense.
Yeah, all the defense soap in the world couldn't help UWW with that argument.
Oh, because it's, UWW needs more than defense soap with how dirty they've gotten with these skin. I mean, the collab piece, oh my God. They need to freaking get in a tub, and they just need to stay in the tub of defense soap. That's how filthy they are. And seriously, some of these calls that are made at the World Championships, either the ref is completely incompetent and he needs to be fired, or he's being paid by somebody. Because some of these calls, Wow. I mean, I can still remember. It's been 2 months since the World Championship, but I can still remember Novichokov versus the Russian. I was just blown away.
I was flying to Vegas that day. That was the first day of freestyle, right?
Yep. And then that Mongolian that beat. Did he beat Reese? I think the Mongolian beat Reese at 32, or whatever the hell weight that is. I'm 34
That was a
now.
wild match. The one that Reese lost.
Yeah. No, but the next match he was in, he threw the guy right on his back, and they gave him no points, and it was like the most obvious, blatant. Someone was just cheating. I don't know what to tell you. So okay, let's get off. Let's go in another direction. We're getting Tom Ryan on here a little later, so we gotta hit a few more things before we get Tom Ryan, and I'm really excited for him. So in Tom Ryan's shoes, he's the defending national champ. So let's talk about the team race, because I think the Parisi Open, which was in Lindenwood College in St. Louis, I think that has some interesting little pieces.
Let me guess, you're going to bring up JoJo.
Man, he's a beast. He is a beast. You got to put him in the lineup. And John has had no problem wrestling freshmen in years past. I know this is his son, and honestly, I think it's going to be a simple conversation. I think John's going to walk into the bedroom and he's going to go, Joe, I'll put you in the lineup.
Joe.
If you don't take top 5, you're out of the damn house. I think that's how it's going to go down. And then Joe's going to be wrestling. He'll probably place top 5. But they're in the team hunt. And Chance can't do 57. And I actually was listening to Willie and Christian. They suggested that JoJo goes 57, Chance goes 65, bump Derringer and Crutchmer up to 74, 84. I thought that was a brilliant idea. And if John Smith's not thinking of that, well, John Smith is thinking of that because he's a freaking genius. So I know he's already thought of that. But because Derringer, he's probably the best wrestler in college today. I don't think he's losing.
He's pretty good, man. I mean, he doesn't stop wrestling. He's got that lefty lead leg. He's got a motor on him. He's looking to attack both sides of the body. He's a tough customer, no doubt.
Yeah. So I think that.
What would be interesting is you got Tom Ryan's son, Jake Ryan. I went to the Ohio State wrestling dual meet on Friday night. They wrestled against Virginia, and Jake Ryan now has 2 wins over 2 guys that were ranked and had wrestled at the NCAA tournament at 157. He won a very. He probably wrestled a little bit like the Ohio State-Michigan State game, but for a freshman, I'm not really knocking that. He found a way to beat a guy that's been to the NCAA tournament. But I think for him to really open up and get to where he needs to be, he's got to wrestle to win and not wrestle not to lose. But wouldn't it be interesting if you had JoJo Smith at 57 and Tom Ryan's son, Jake Ryan, wrestling in a match against each other? That'd be kind of do you think that's ever happened where 2 D1 coaches have 2 sons in the lineup wrestling against each other?
I can't think of any time in any recent memory that would have happened, but shoot, if you go far enough back, maybe. That'd be wild.
It's impressive, though, Jake Ryan. He was a state runner-up. He came on very quickly at the end of his high school career. Obviously, he comes from a good pedigree. There's talent there. He's got a good family life. His parents are very supporting, taught him how to fight, all that good stuff. But he's a redshirt freshman now, and he's ranked. He was ranked 20th in the country going into Friday night. But it's pretty interesting how he's probably not wrestling the weight he should be wrestling either. He should be at 49, but you got Hunter Stieber coming in there. But
is he going to be healthy? Is he coming back? Tommy, give us the lowdown, because that's a big deal in the team race. If Ohio State doesn't have Hunter Stieber, I'm writing him off.
So I think Ohio State. You got Miles Martin, who just won the Open tournament again this weekend. I think what's going to end up happening is Bo Jordan's going to drop to 65. They're going to put Miles Martin in at 74. You got Hunter Stieber, who let's take last year away.
Of course.
The last time he was on the mat prior to last year, when he was very, very injured, had double Tommy John surgery when the season ended, he was undefeated all the way until the NCAA finals, when he was beating Mitchell Port and lost at the end of the match in a tough heartbreaker, came back and got third. That was his sophomore year. He went like 35-1 and got third in the country at 141, ran the table. His freshman year, I think he went 1-1 or maybe 2-2 against Kellen Russell on the year got 5th or 6th in the country. I mean, this guy knows how to win.
Oh, yeah.
His brother was a 4-time NCAA champion. And to your point, Ben.
So is he going to be back or not? Is he back?
He had double elbow surgery, double Tommy John surgery in the spring last year. So I see him a lot.
How did he wipe his butt?
He had him at stagnating times.
No.
So he probably didn't have that issue. But
maybe he had one of those things
this is a guy,
overseas that they shoot the water in your butt or something.
Right. This is a guy that knows how to win, Ben. I mean, he flat out knows how to win wrestling matches. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to be the guy. Honestly, he's going to be the guy at 149. What do you got? Surtsis?
Yeah, it's up for grabs. 49's up for grabs for sure.
So you got Tomasello at 25, DeJulius at 33. DeJulius needs to step up. I love Johnny. If he's listening out there, he knows he needs to step up. I think he's going to. You've got Mick Jordan at 41, who looked like a buzzsaw, just a buzzsaw the other night against Virginia. Put in Hunter Stieber, hoping that he can get back to the old Hunter Stieber ways and be in the top 3 or win it. Then you've got 57 is a work in progress. Then you've got Jordan at 65, Miles Martin 74, Kenny Courts 84, who is a little bit like DeJulius. He did it. He got it done.
He's worse. He
got it done last year. It mattered. You got Mark Martin, who took more shots on Friday night than I've seen him take in any match ever. And then Nick Tavanella, who's a 3-time NCAA qualifier. So, that squad can win it.
All right. Well, so you got your turn to be a homer. Can I get my turn to be a homer?
You're gonna get the Tigers in there?
Listen, I'm not saying that they're gonna challenge for a title yet. I'm not gonna say that yet, but I'm gonna tell you that with what happened yesterday, they got a chance to be on the podium. Barlow McGee, coming off a redshirt year.
Who's Barlow McGee?
He is. He had a very tough true freshman year. He redshirted behind Alan Waters last year.
Okay.
He is now a sophomore, but he beat Zeke Moisey 14-4. Beat him down. That's a finalist.
That's a drubbing.
So he puts himself in the All-American talk. Now they got this freshman Jaden Clayton, who I've known since he was about 8 years old. He's a Columbia guy from Missouri.
Okay.
And he is sure making the case to be the starter. He beat a couple good guys yesterday, including Missouri's returning NCAA qualifier. So I think he's a wild card there.
Gotcha.
And the rest of the team's looking good. They got a couple 3 returning All-Americans. Another tough freshman, 165, Daniel Lewis, and then Blaze Butler was a transfer at 74, and he was ranked 5th going to the
Blaze was
tournament.
a Virginia guy, right?
He was Virginian. He graduated, and he needed to go to graduate school, and he got into graduate school at the University of Missouri. So, Missouri. Listen, I'm Tiger proud, baby. After they never finished top 10 in the existence of the program, never finished top 10. My senior year, we took 3rd, and now they've been, I think, 4 or 5 more times in the top 10, and looking like they could do it again this year. They're really looking good.
Awesome. So you think top 10?
Dog, give them the podium. Top 4, baby. Give them the podium.
There you go. I just realized that I said I went to watch Ohio State wrestle Virginia on Friday night. I'm a moron. It was Arizona State, the Sun Devils.
Oh, yeah.
Just wanted to make that clear.
They wrestled Virginia last weekend, right?
Yeah. So Virginia.
So I'm excited to see in the next couple weeks, going all the way through Vegas, we should get a really, really good idea on what's going to happen in this team race. I mean, we should get some good insights into what's going to happen, and I'm excited because this is.
I think Penn State's the team, Ben, more so than Okie State.
But what if Gillibon acts like a bum? I mean, Gillibon's lost a wrestle off. He lost a couple matches. Even Megaludis lost. So their team is based on having those very high point finishes because we know they're not going to get much at 65 or 84 or heavyweight. So that they're already down a few weights. If they don't have,
I think Bo Nickel and Nolf are kind of like Tomasello and Jordan and Snyder ish.
Yeah.
I'm not saying exactly, but from what I'm hearing, these guys, are born to win. Not saying they're going to win 4 titles or anything like that, but I think that's what the Nittany Lions have going for them. That other teams this year don't have that kind of firepower that's stepping in the lineup, and it's looking like those guys are going to be top 4, Ben.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And so we'll see if those bottom guys, Megaludis, Gillibon, Jordan Conway and Zane Rutherford, if they can put some big points on the board, they're sitting pretty.
I agree, man.
Okay, well let's get our guest on here. I'm excited. This will be the first guest in T Row and Funky Show history. He's a great guest. He's the coach of the returning national champions, and I see what you typed here on our itinerary, and you got some really interesting questions here, and
right.
I don't even know the answers, so I'm excited.
Anybody who is aware of my background, I worked with Tom Ryan when he came to Ohio State. I was so short story. I actually tried to be the head coach at Ohio State at the same time Tom did. I was like 23 years old. I don't know what I was thinking. Ohio State definitely made the right choice hiring Tom Ryan as opposed to a 23-year-old guy. But once that didn't happen the way that at least I wanted it to happen, I said, well, if I'm not going to be the coach of Ohio State, I might as well do everything I have to do to win the Olympics. So I was going to move out to Colorado Springs and train under Terry Brands. My wife and I actually flew out to Colorado Springs. We looked at apartments. She was going to get a teaching job out there, and we were gonna move. And Tom Ryan calls me up and says, "Hey, Tom Ryan, I want you to stay here. What's it going to take?" And I said, "Well, you could. It's not really about money. I need a training environment. I need a freestyle training environment where I can win. And I know that you're a great coach. Everyone says great things about you, but you don't have much of a freestyle background. And as a result, I think it was in his plan anyway. But he recruited Lou Roselli heavily to come over to Ohio State. I, in return, stayed in my hometown and coached at my alma mater, which wasn't a tough sell. And because of that, I coached with Tom Ryan for 4 years, and then I trained at Ohio State for another 2 or 3 years. So Tom Ryan and I have worked together. We've been colleagues, and now we've become just great friends. And so it's awesome to have him on here as our first guest. He's a very dynamic person. We could cover all kinds of territory with him, and I'm sure we will. But Tom Ryan's what's good about wrestling, and it's great to have him on here today.
Oh, boom. So let's get him on here, Tommy, and I'll click him in.
Okay, sounds good, brother.
All right, we are back, and we have Tom Ryan on the line. He is fresh from a hoarse voice because not only was he coaching his Buckeyes to a win over Arizona State this weekend, but he was also trying to do what he could to help the football team pull it out over Michigan State, but they just couldn't do it. So what's up, Tom?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I just got out of wrestling practice, actually, and one of the I'm going to hit you with the secret question right here off the bat because Tommy doesn't have this one listed, but I run 2 wrestling academies up here, and I don't know what you guys are doing, but when we ask the kids, where do you want to go to college? Just kind of feeling them out. Ohio State is always on the list, so obviously I know you guys are winning, but I think that there's something cool about Ohio State. So how did you build that brand that it seems all the high school kids are noticing right now?
Well, I think the people that you surround yourself with. Obviously, when you have a Kyle Snyder, a 19-year-old win the worlds, and you've got a Logan Stieber that wins 4 titles, and a freshman Nathan Tomasello, another freshman that wins the nationals. I think that obviously in today's world with the internet and the number of ways that information is shared, people know. So we're fortunate we've had some success, and obviously it sounds like some young people are taking note. The good news is Missouri's got some good wrestlers. We are really enjoying Keyshawn Hayes right now.
Oh,
who's a great wrestler.
I'm up in Wisconsin now. I came back. Came back to the motherland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was gone for 10 years, but I came back up here to Cheesehead Land.
Well, they were sad to see you go, I'm sure.
Yeah, you had one of our wrestlers, Bo Bresky, down there this fall, but
sure.
You guys weren't able to make things work out. But I don't know. You guys,
Ben, I gotta tell you,
weight anyways. So
I gotta tell you, Ben. Coach Ryan is too modest to share why people said they tell you that they want to go to Ohio State. It's just a human instinct, man. And some people let it take them over, and some people, they somehow convince themselves that they should be Badgers or Hawkeyes or Tigers or Bears or whatever it might be. But that's really what it is.
Nice. Well, hey, I'm excited. Right off the bat, when we talk about programs that everyone wants to go to, Tom. Tommy kind of told me a little bit about this story, but I got to hear more about it. So, from what Tommy told me, you were a scholarship athlete at Syracuse, where your brother was wrestling, and you made the decision after, I believe, your freshman or sophomore year that you wanted to go to Iowa and wrestle for Gable. So, man, take us through that, because that's got to be tough to just get up and leave your scholarship and go walk on at Iowa.
Well, I mean, we didn't have the success that you and your brother had, but obviously I was a 50-pounder, and my brother was the 158-pounder at Syracuse. And probably as you were for your brother, he was just a great example for me. Mm-hmm. And he's a great role model. And I wanted to wrestle with him. And Syracuse, obviously offered me a full scholarship, which my family needed. And I wanted to be with him, So Syracuse was the comfortable decision. At that time in my life, had Iowa called, I would have gone, but they never called, nor did too many other, bigger programs. So, I went to Syracuse, and after 2 years there, I became fearful, I think. I became fearful that something I really wanted wasn't going to happen. And I don't think I panicked, but in retrospect, maybe it was a sense of panic that, this was far too important to me to stay in a position where, I felt like I wasn't being challenged at the level I needed to. So it was kind of a crossroad moment for me. And I talked to my brother and dad about it and, let them know that I was going to leave and transfer. And I packed my bags and drove to the University of Iowa City, stayed in a hotel for a while, made some friends, got beat up for a while, and things ended up working out.
So you get to Iowa City, what month is that?
June-ish, probably around June. It was summertime. As soon as the semester ended at Syracuse, I packed my car and left.
So did Gable know you were coming, or you showed up one day?
No, I actually, when I got out there, I drove through the night. I got out there. I went to the wrestling. See, every summer I went to camp out there. So I knew the area very well. I went to Jay Robinson was there at the time when I was a kid. So Jay was running camps out there. So the intensive camps out there. So I would go to the camps. I knew the area, and obviously I knew some of their athletes, like Jim Heffernan, who'd already graduated. But so I got there. I checked in the hotel at 3:00. I just drove over to the wrestling room, and I remember it was packed with people, and I was sitting in the corner. And I remember Gable walking over to me and looking at me and saying, "Who are you?" And that's exactly what he said. He goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "My name's Tom. I'm going to be transferring." And he said, "You're not going to get any better sitting there." So he
That's just great.
Yeah, classic Gable.
That's all he said. And then he said, "Hey, go wrestle these two." So he put me in a group of 3. Now, I didn't know who these guys were, but all I knew was they were smaller than me. And I was thinking, I'm going to wreck these 2 guys. So it was Terry and Troy Steiner, identical twins. And I tell the story, it's true. This is what I remember. That's not to embellish anything. But you leave a place and you think that, there's perspective, you think that you've got it. You think that you're really fit. You think that you know what's going on. I felt that way at Syracuse. And I get to Iowa, my first workout. He tells me to get up, so I start working out with the Steiners. And we're drilling for like 50 minutes. And the pace of the drill was so fast, I started to fatigue in the drill. And at the end of the drill, Gable yells time. And I remember thinking, thank God, that was a hard workout. And then he said, "Are you guys warm and ready to go?" And I'm thinking, this is going to get ugly.
And this is in the dead of summer, right, Tom?
Hot.
Yeah, dead of summer. Room was packed. Now, we were in the wrestling room, so it wasn't, the heat wasn't the problem. The problem was my conditioning.
The Steiners are kind of legendary for their conditioning, though. They actually were kind of my coaches for a little bit when I was a kid. And I know one story I heard about them, and you can probably verify whether this is actually true or not. But I heard they're these gullible North Dakota boys, and they went on their recruiting trip to the University of Iowa, and they were inquiring as to how the Iowa guys got in such good shape. and someone told them that they did an Aerodyne workout where between two partners they rotated for 12 hours straight on the Aerodyne. It's kind of like we'll pull the wool over these guys' eyes. And lo and behold, the Steiners actually did it. That's what I heard.
Yes,
that's true.
It wouldn't surprise me. The Steiners were very pure. They were not. I guess gullible is another word, but they were very pure guys at the time. Like if you said, "Hey, Steiners, there's going to be a photo shoot at the student union. You got to wear your singlet and wrestling shoes and headgear, and meet us there at 3." They'd be there.
Oh man!
They were just great human beings. I mean, two guys that. I mean, we all have them. Tommy has those guys. They're his life, and you do. And the guys that, no matter how tired you were, no matter how much you were struggling, they really weren't overly concerned with how you were feeling. They knew that the best thing for you and the best thing for them was to keep pouring it on. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, you look back at those people and you think, you know what? Man, am I thankful for people like that in my life. And those two guys, particularly on that day, were those guys that gave me a new perspective.
So were they your main training partners at Iowa throughout, or who else surrounded you?
Back in the early, while I was there, for a few years in the early 90s, 90, 91, 92. So those two, beat me unmercifully at that time. Now I was going to be a 58 pound, and they were 42 and 50 pounders. So the good thing at that time, the Olympic training center rule was not in effect. So you were allowed to have a training center. So I had Royce Alger, Joe Pantelio, Lenny Zaleski, Jimmy Zaleski, Randy Lewis. I mean, I had so many people that could beat me up. It was, pick your poison, So I was really fortunate to be in the room at the time where there were so many different styles of wrestling that
how long do you think it took you, Tom, to be in a program like Syracuse, which was by no means a bad school, so to speak? It was a respectable Division I wrestling program. How long did it take you to go from, assuming that might be the standard of which you need to train at, to, one of the arguably the gold standard in terms of work ethic in wrestling, especially at that time? How long did it take for you to adjust to that, to where, that first day where you were worn out in the middle of the summer, to where you felt like you were contributing to the training sessions in a way where you helped elevate the room, or at least keep it at the pace that it was, and you were kind of maybe a leader in the program, or one of the top guys in terms of work ethic? I mean, how long did that transformation take place in your mind?
I would say that like both of you guys were, you understand this language, but I was so hungry. I was so hungry to do well and make a difference, and I ate so deeply for it. I would probably say it was probably 3 a days for about 120 days. In December, I had an opportunity to wrestle Pat Smith the year he won nationals, and I beat him in December. So there was obviously a big transition from getting beat up by the 42-pounder in Iowa to beating Pat.
Wow.
And so it was probably 120 days or so of a lot of hard work, before. And I remember after I won the match, not that Gable didn't pay attention to me, but he definitely paid more attention to me after that. I kind of liked it.
Was that a duel or an open tournament, or what was that?
It was an open tournament. It was the Midwest Classic.
Okay.
And I remember driving home and Gable calling me the next day and saying, "Hey, come to my office." So I get into his office. The first time I was ever in his office. And this is probably, 6 months after I was there, right? So December from June-ish. So I'm sitting in his office. He goes, "Hey, that was a nice win." And, as far as I'm concerned, that was Jesus, sitting in the chair across from me. It was the Jesus of wrestling. I'm like, well, thank you very much. And he said, "We're going to give you a little scholarship money." And I was like, fantastic, right? This is great. My mom and dad are so happy. So he goes, "We're going to give you $300." So I remember thinking, "Hey, listen, it was a nickel." The fact that you noticed,
right?
That's something that I could actually help the program. That was that was pretty valuable to me.
Nice.
So anyway, took a little while.
That's awesome.
So so let's transition a little bit. You go you Iowa, and then you go out to Hofstra. Or am I missing something in between there? Because I know you were in the Hofstra. What, about 2000 is when you got the job there?
Yeah, I graduated from Iowa in '92, and then at the Big Tens, God's plans are pretty interesting. I was going to be a physical therapist. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to do. And then I never thought about coaching. Right? I wasn't raised by a coach. I wasn't, in a home, in a setting that I longed to coach. But I guess God had a different plan for me. At the Big Tens, my senior year, Dwayne Goldman at Indiana asked me if I was interested in coaching. And I thought, hey, you know what I mean? I might give that a shot. Let me think about that. So I went in and interviewed with him in Bloomington. I really liked the area, and so basically 92, 93, 93, 94, I was an assistant coach at Indiana, which then opened the door for Hofstra. I met my wife in Indiana while I was coaching at Bloomington, and I left Indiana for 2 years with a wife and 2 kids. And
Dang,
it was
you worked fast, Tom. You didn't waste any time.
No doubt.
I'm doing the math there, and wow.
Yeah, I went back to Iowa for a year. I was at the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, and then the Hofstra job actually opened up. They'd actually dropped the program.
Okay.
They dropped the program, and then an alumni who had done very well, and all of his best friends in high school were wrestlers. He'd done really well in life financially. His name was Joe Margiata, and he's kind of an icon at Hofstra. And he had called me and he said, "Listen, if a few of my best friends have passed on, and if they knew that I could save the program and didn't, I really couldn't live with myself. So I'm going to save it. Are you interested in coaching here?"
Wow.
So that's kind of how it went down. And then I flew out there, and obviously as a young guy, I was really young at the time and not ready to coach. Fortunately, it was a school that was, in my hometown, basically.
So you're from
that
Long
gave me
Island?
a chance.
Or are you from upstate?
I'm from Long Island. So maybe like 50 minutes from where your brother was helping out.
Okay.
With, I know he's helping the stud now for Cornell family.
Yeah, Real Budo.
He's running the club up there. Real Budo, yeah. So great family. So, it was maybe 45 minutes, an hour from there.
Nice. So you
get to Hofstra like 94, 95, Tom. And, at that time, what were your plans for the program, and what were you thinking when you arrived? I mean, did you have aspirations to take the program to where it got, or was it just one day at a time for you?
Tommy, I think like anybody that we had 3.5 scholarships, and I think it was kind of a young thinking mentality of just put your head down and work hard today. Mm-hmm. Just put your head down and work hard, and things will happen. The AD at the time told me that if you guys start winning, we'll help you more. And I think one of the most proud things I would say in my coaching career is the fact that when I got there, we had 3.5, and the year I left, they were going to fully fund the program, so they had the 9.9.
That's outstanding.
And it was just put your head down and work. One of the blessings, I think, we lost them when they were going to drop. I know a lot of coaches take over new programs, and ultimately, when you take over the program, you also take over, the good and the bad things from a recruiting standpoint, how much money is available. For me, because the program was dropped, everybody had left.
Right.
So we had like 9 guys on the team. I had left Iowa. We just won nationals. And I went to Hofstra. We had 9 guys. But I had all the money.
Yeah. Hey, so let me ask you this question. We're kind of talking about recruiting, and I think this is an interesting theory and something is building kind of a sense of state pride, or you could say area pride with Long Island. But some coaches say they feel like they need to put a fence around their state or their area. And obviously, with Ohio, you have one of the best wrestling states in the country, and on Long Island, that is one of the that's a hotbed for wrestling for sure. And I know at Hofstra you definitely did it, and I think at Ohio you're doing it. Is it one of your key items to put a fence around the area and not let the best guys get out?
Yeah, no, I think that's critical. I think anyone that coaches at Hofstra or Ohio State, whoever, you've got to keep the best talent home. And then obviously you got to go after the big guys. Even though I was at Hofstra, and Tommy can attest, I mean, I watched Tommy Rollins in high school. I was like, oh, my God, if I can get this guy. And that was, even though I was at Hofstra, I still thought that maybe there's a chance, or maybe he likes the big city, maybe he likes the ocean. Maybe there's something that can entice him to come in. If you can get Tommy, people will follow.
I got a great Tom Ryan recruiting story. I have to interrupt you, Tom, but I was, I had the good fortune of winning the state title and doing good out in Fargo. And at that time, if you did real good in Fargo and you were doing good in Ohio, that meant you were getting a lot of scholarship offers. And so I got a call from Tom Ryan, and I wasn't really sure about where Hofstra was and what have you, but I had gone to a wrestling camp that a friend of mine, Jeff Ratliff's father, kind of sponsored because his son Rocky Ratliff wrestled for Hofstra. I think prior to you arriving there, Tom, actually.
Yeah.
And so I'd been out to Hofstra, but wasn't really familiar with Tom or anything like that. And he called me up and said, "I'm Tom Ryan. Saw you wrestle in Fargo. You did a great job." Because I have a big plan. I'm gonna recruit John Trenge, Damian Hahn, and yourself. And you guys,
that's a freaking outstanding plan.
he said, you guys are going to be 184, 197 in heavyweight, and it's going to be the greatest trio that college wrestling's ever seen. And so I hung up the phone and I told my dad, I had a good conversation with Coach Ryan, and my dad said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, seems like a really nice guy. I like his energy and this, that, and the other thing." And he said he's going to drive out to our house next week at midnight and meet us in the morning. And at the time, I really didn't believe it. And honestly, I never really believed that Tom was telling the truth until fast forward, 10 years later, and I got to coach with Tom. And he actually was telling the truth. He probably would have left his house at midnight to meet me at my house in Ohio at 10 a.m. But, that type of belief system and I guess, going for broke at a small program like that. I mean, I think that's great for wrestling. I think we need more mentalities like that in our sport where you're eager to turn something into nothing into something. So,
I think we might have lost him, Tommy.
Oh, brutal.
Okay, I'm sure he'll call back. Okay, he's calling back already. Look at that. That was fast. Gotcha. You there, Tom?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tommy, John Trenge, and Damian Hunt. Well, Damian couldn't have made 84 the whole time, though, so that might have ruined your plans.
I think your plans were was Damian your plan at 84, Tom, or was it Trenge at 84?
Yeah. Damian, John, and Tommy.
But Damian,
what a good idea, huh?
That is a good idea.
Damian's kind of like Marsteller, though. He can't wrestle at 84. He was the man at 97, but 84 he struggled at. So he would have to put him on a diet for sure.
I remember calling. I didn't know Damian that well, but we were familiar with each other. And I remember calling Damian because honestly, when you think, when you're a big time recruit and all the guys that you're trying to beat, around your weight class, I just wanted to call him up and if Trenge and Hahn are serious, I need to take this serious. And I called Damian up and I said, "Damian, Tom Ryan says you're taking a really serious look at Hofstra. Is this true?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I'm going to visit." And I was like, "Holy cow, man, this might actually happen." But, I guess this will segue us into the next conversation with Coach Ryan. But I was just pulled towards Buckeye Nation. And, I guess I was brought up in a home where my father and my mother did not want me to mislead anybody. So they said, "Hey, before this guy gets in his car at midnight and drives to the house, if you're really if you don't think you're going to go to Hofstra, why don't you save him the trip?" So I called up Coach Ryan, but it was still a great recruiting experience for me. Very vigilant in your approach, Tom, with recruiting, and I think that obviously it's paid dividends over the years. So, but that takes us into the next topic we want to talk about, Ben, which is Ohio State wrestling, which I'm obviously partial to.
And man, and you had success right off the bat, and maybe that Russ Hellickson had a few good recruits left over, and I want to say, did you take second your first year off the bat right away, Tom?
Second year.
Second year. And you know what? I still remember this vividly because I'm a passionate wrestling fan. Freaking Iowa, got a forfeit at heavyweight to get their guy into the All-American round. So they got the 2 bonus for the forfeit, got the guy into the placing round. He took 8th. that's 5 points right there, right? Or 5.5 because you got the win on the Conti side, and they beat you by 4 points. I still remember that, like the luck of that bum. I can't remember who the guy from, I'm being mean, but whoever the Iowa heavyweight at that point was not very good, and he got very lucky to get a forfeit to get in the All-American rounds. But I mean,
his last name was Erickson, and he was wrestling. He was wrestling Findoni from Edinburgh. Am I correct, Tom?
Yeah, it was down by 6 or so. Down by 6. But
I was coaching at the time with Tom, Ben.
You guys remember that match? Wow!
Oh my gosh! So it was an unbelievable event, and I'm sure Tom can talk more about it. But I do remember thinking there was only one time. There was only a 20-second period during that whole tournament where I really said to myself, "We're going to win the national title," and that's when Findoni had the lead on Erickson. I think there was 20 or 30 seconds left in the match. They went out of bounds, and I actually thought to myself, "We're gonna do this." And then obviously one thing led to another, and Iowa did a great job of manning up, so to speak, and getting the job done. But I guess I'm stealing your thunder, Tom. But I was there with you, man, as you obviously remember.
yeah, so Ben at the time. So when I got the job, obviously as an out-of-state person, my main focus was to keep Tommy there. And that became the number one objective for me, was to make sure that Tommy didn't leave for the training center and train somewhere else. And I talked to him about, what would it take to keep him? So you think about the staff we had, and he basically wanted somebody that was really, really linked into the freestyle side of things. Because obviously he's transitioning from NCAA champ, like you did, Ben, right, to Olympic aspirations. So there were a few names he threw out, and one of them was Coach Roselli. So immediately it was, okay, let me talk with Lou. So, the first year I was there, it was me, Lou, Tommy, and Joe Heskett had just moved to the training center from Cal Poly. He had just moved. I mean, literally just got to the training center, and he gets the call, look, I need you two Buckeyes to come back home. And so our staff was a staff immediately that could have an impact in keeping really good people home.
It was
and
awesome.
Developing the talent. So it was me, Lou, Tommy, and Joe. So as Tommy and Joe were preparing for Olympics, they were also coaching the team. So, it really helped jumpstart us. And, of course, as you said, Ben, Coach Hellickson, he left with a lot of talent there when I got there. And then when I came, Mike Vasillo came with us as well, came with me from Hofstra. And it kind of...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we were kind of competitive, competitive right away. It's a powerful house, too. You can get... And, you're coaching these kids now, obviously up in Wisconsin, so these kids come in pretty ready.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing how good freshmen are, these days.
So let's talk about that, actually. And I was grilling Tommy last night once we, before we were recording, I was grilling him on Kyle Snyder because, Tom, I can't, for the life of me, I can't figure this out. I was very dominant my junior, senior year in college, and then I went and took like 5th place at the U.S. Open or some crap like that. Logan Stieber, same thing, ultra dominant. Kyle Snyder loses 4 times during the NCAA season last year. I mean, Burak he's not a world beater by any means. And then he goes 5 months later and wins a freaking world title.
After beating Varner 3
times. It blows my mind. I don't know how he did it. It's amazing. What do you got for me? I needed the secret.
I wish there was. I wish there was this magical secret. I think that the year he went out there, he definitely has a style that is, obviously suitable to college wrestling, but more suitable probably to freestyle.
Yeah.
A little bit. So I think he's more geared toward freestyle, but he also at 213, he's a bigger, stronger version of himself than he is at the 1 hour weigh-in at 97.
So what does he walk at? What does he walk at?
Right now he's about 225,
oh,
223,
he's
225.
Big.
He's big.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, guys. I was training for the marathon for the first ever time I've ever run a marathon, and I'm training on the treadmill on my low impact days, my lighter run days. I train at the Ohio State Wrestling Room at 6 a.m. before work, and so I don't bang up my knees too much. And I saw Snyder in there 2 months ago, and he's like, "Hey, we should work out." And I was like, "Yeah, man. I never put my hands on the guy." I said, "Maybe we can drill or something like that." He's like, "Oh, we can wrestle." And I was like, okay. So I go in the room 3 weeks ago, and we drilled for 40 minutes, and I had a great time drilling with the guy. And then he's like, let's go a match. And I'm not one to turn anything down. I'm 34 years old, and I'm by no means in training shape anymore, but I thought I could throw my hat in there. And let me tell you, whatever he's done between 4 college losses last year at 197 and being a world champion at 213, it happened because he threw it on me, Ben, so bad that I'm still licking my wounds, man.
Don't admit it. Don't admit to it.
I've got nothing to prove anymore. So, anyways, he is absolutely one of the best wrestlers in the world. I can say that firsthand.
Nice. So, Tom, I know this has been talked about so much. Kyle Snyder wins $250,000 this upcoming year. Is he coming back?
Yeah. He's coming back.
Come on.
No, he's coming back. So, Ben, the cool thing is that her name, Missy Franklin.
Okay.
Missy Franklin.
Swimmer.
Swimmer, yes. So she set a standard, and with the current environment in the NCAA, they're really student athlete aware, or more so than they've been in the past.
Yeah.
So thanks to Missy Franklin, each of her gold medals, and I believe she won 6, was worth like $75,000. She kept it all, and then went to Stanford. So there's a precedent in place. We've already got it documented. So he won the Worlds this year. That was, I think it was $50,000 for winning the Worlds. He accepted it. The NCAA
kept every penny, right?
Kept every penny. Our compliance office approved it. He's also now on a stipend of 2. Yeah, Ben, he keeps everything. So if he wins the Olympics,
nice.
He keeps it. Now the challenge becomes, if Nike steps in, he can't accept endorsements, but he can accept.
Well, they don't pay that much. They don't pay that much anyway. I regaled Tommy with my story the other day of how ASICS offered me a whopping stipend of $1,000 a year when I came out in 07.
Ben, no offense, man, but if Snyder wins the Olympics, I think he's going to get offered more than $1,000.
Well, I would sure hope so, and deservedly so. Yeah. So, wow.
So he'll come back. The question is, what
keeping the money.
He also, obviously, Ben, he has really strong connections. Honestly, we're really close. He's close to a lot of people there. He wants to help the team win some more titles. He hasn't won an NCAA title yet.
Yeah.
And that's something that's important to him. So, he's here. He'll be back next year. The question is, do we move up to heavyweight? Do we put him back at 97? He's likely to be a heavyweight.
Yeah, that's a lot of, if you 225, 230 solid, that's a lot of weight to cut. I actually remember one of your other wrestlers, or I don't know if you coached him or if it was Russ, but J.D. Bergman had the same issue. He was just a little too big for 97.
Yeah. In fact, I think it was your junior year. Either you in Missouri, you guys came in my first year, so I believe
it was my senior year.
Yeah, you wrestled a kid named Blake Maurer.
Yep. I got booed out of the gym.
Well, Ben, you were on top of the guy.
He wouldn't get off the damn
both
mat,
of your hands in the air. I mean, what do you expect when you're in Columbus?
I was trying to prove the point that he was making no effort to actually get up. Because I wanted to pin him. I wanted to freaking pin him. And I did not pin him, and I was very
you were a competitor, man. I remember asking Brian, hey, that guy's good, man. I go, what? How'd you find this guy? He goes, listen, he sent his tape. I don't know if this is what he told me. He said he sent his tape to the office. I opened the envelope. I pop it in. Because I ran and grabbed all my coaches. I'm like, look at this guy. This guy's a freak. We're going to get this guy.
That's the story I heard.
Oh, is that what he told you as well?
That's what he told me. Yep,
yeah, he told me. Yeah, he said he just opened the envelope and put it in, grabbed it over. He's like, oh my God, this guy's pretty special. So,
Tom, you want to tell him this? You want to tell him the story about how the great recruiting story about how you found Mike Pasillo?
Oh yeah, it's funny.
I could tell it.
Was a beast, though. I remember him in high school.
So I'll tell the story, Tom.
Yeah.
You can tell me. You can tell me if it's wrong. But then, so Tom sends one of his coaches out to Fargo, and I forget the kid he was looking at, and it's better that he's nameless anyway. And Tom's looking at this kid because he's a big time recruit. I don't know who he is, and the kid that Tom's recruiting gets smoked by an Ohio kid. And so Tom's coach calls up Tom and says, Tom's like, oh, how'd our guy look? and your coach, I think it was Onspach, said to Tom, he lost to some short fat kid from Ohio. and Tom said, "Who's the short fat kid?" And the rest is history. Is that accurate, Tom?
That's exactly how it went down.
That's glorious.
That's how it went down. Yeah, who was that little fat kid that beat him? And it was that, and it was Pasillo. And the amazing thing was Pasillo had just won. Well, during that high school season, he won the Ironman, the Powerade at 152, and then 3 months later, he's wrestling 189, and he's still winning.
That was my brother's bracket. And Pasillo had Varner's number. Like, I want to say he beat him at least a couple times in high school before the NCAA finals too.
Oh, for sure. Yes, you're talking about high school nationals, right?
Finals.
Yeah, that was a great bracket. That bracket was that tournament was loaded. Your brother Varner, Pasillo,
John Jones, Patrick Bond,
John Jones,
Craig Brester.
Was Brester in there too?
Brester didn't even place. I think Pat Bond didn't place either.
Jeez.
Who?
Pat Bond. You remember him? He was the number
Bond,
one.
Sure.
Pat Bond was the number one in that bracket.
He was the superstar out of Virginia, right? He went to Illinois.
He went to Illinois, and he was always a solid wrestler, but I don't believe he ever All-American. Maybe came close once or twice.
I don't think so. No.
All right, let's.
Great, good stuff.
Shoot, I could talk wrestling with you two all day, but we're already over time. We're already. Did we lose?
We're in OT right now.
Are you there, Tom?
Yeah, we still got Tom.
No, I think we lost him.
Well, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, last question. I promise. We're already in overtime, but this is fun. I could really talk wrestling with you. So one of the things we talk about is promoting the sport and growing fan bases and everything. And Tommy brought up to me that you guys just raised $8 million to build a state-of-the-art facility. Man, let's talk about what all entailed there and what's going to look like and what's it going to be. And man, I'm sure you guys are just kicking butt and taking names even past that national title.
I think it's a testament to the state of Ohio, Buckeye Nation. People are just so passionate about the university that we can raise. We're in the middle of raising obviously $8 million for the facility, but we've also got a $200,000 budget we've got to meet from a program standpoint, and a $400,000 budget from a freestyle standpoint. So you're talking about raising over $500,000 a year, plus on an annual basis, plus building a new facility. So, right now our facility obviously was good enough to win the nationals with it, but we want something that is, world class. And this place is going to be spectacular. It'll be right by Woody Hayes, which is where the football team trains. There's a $500 million renovation going on right now in the dorm space, which is going to be relatively right across the street from the training center and right next to campus. So it's going to be, it will certainly help us. And as you know, Ben, I mean, there's amazing people in this sport, and they should all be fortunate enough to train in a complex, that's kind of on par with the type of human beings that are in the sport. So we're all fired up about it, and we're hoping we're in it by the fall of 17.
Nice.
Hopefully the completion date.
Nice. Well, man, like I said, I think I could talk to you all day. I think Tommy probably could. Well, Tommy probably has talked to you all day before.
That's correct. We go way back.
But, man, we're already over time. So good luck with your season. And who knows, maybe we'll have you back on in March and you'll have another big old trophy in your case.
Sounds good. Yeah, good to talk to you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Go Bucks, baby.
Go Bucks. Take care, Tommy. See you, Ben.
See ya.